What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Today, we have an amazing guest who writes for Through the Phog on Fansided. His name is Conner Becker. Conner, what is going on, my friend? How is everything going?
It's going good. Just get through the summer one day at a time.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Just,
I know
just
you're still in school, right? You're going to KU.
yeah, I'm just going there for my just finished up my first year, and I'll be heading back there for my sophomore year here in August.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Awesome to hear. I'm a big time, KU fan, so that's really cool. Man, hey, before we dive into this, let everybody know where they can find you on Fansided, where they can find you through the Phog, and then where they can find you on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. You can find us at throughthefog.com, or you can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at Through the Fog. Plenty of content there. I mean, we post everything from our contributors articles up to the post-game, pre-game interview, or not interviews, but pre-game, post-game analysis and stuff like that. That's all there. So once football season rolls around, just be on the ball with our Twitter page, and you'll be able to see everything that we have right up to the minute. So
That's what's up, man.
those are both going to be the best places to get all that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know you guys are constantly kind of updating your Twitters and everything, and that's a good, definitely a good spot to get some good information. So with that being said, we're gonna jump into this and start talking a little bit of basketball since that has, we're not quite to basketball season, but that is a topic that is extremely hot right now around KU. Obviously, how the season ended last year really didn't go the way that a lot of people were anticipating, but I guess you could kind of say it was a little bit expected just because of the way the team was. Can you kind of just hit on really how it ended and why we saw such I guess, a huge just overhaul of the team? Like, what led to that?
Yeah, I mean, ending that season, it was just kind of tough because there was really not too much faith that they were going to go much farther than the second round, really. And the way they lost to USC was kind of surprising for fans because they thought, they give them a good fight and they'd have a shot at maybe making it to the Sweet 16. But no, it didn't go our way, and things just kind of trailed off into the offseason. But that's where things got a lot more interesting. Out of the blue, you got someone like Remy Martin that just threw his name back into the transfer portal, and he was picked up in the Jayhawks. That's a major grab. That's a roster changing move for Kansas. I mean, there's a completely new person up front taking the realm, filling in the shoes of Marcus Garrett, and it's going to be really interesting to see what guys like him bring to the table.
Most definitely. And that's what's kind of significant too, because, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is the transfer portal and how significant that is going to be moving forward, because it almost seems like it's a way to get traded in college, I guess you could say. I mean, out of the blue, we go get, like you said, a Remy Martin, who is an absolute stud, a piece that I feel we've been missing. I mean, a true point guard. What are your thoughts on the transfer portal? And, is this going to be a continuous trend you feel for a way KU to stay, very impactful with players coming in?
There's pros and cons to it. It's just something that's going to affect every team differently. In Kansas' case, it came out really well this year. You had a lot of different names that were wanting to try their hand at the NBA draft, and it didn't go their way. Players like Ochai Agbaji, Jalen Wilson were able just to come back to Kansas, and players like Remy Martin, they had their name in the draft pool, and they were able to just come right back and go to a program like Kansas to wrap up one more year before head to the 2022 draft. So really, that's kind of a big positive for players looking to jump back and forth and explore their different options. It's going to give them that opportunity to really, get them another year in their belt. That's much needed too. Someone like Remy Martin may not have gone as well in the draft this year as he could next year, and he could be an absolute force in the NBA. But he's not going to get the right looks until he does another year of basketball. That's just the year, or that's just the way it's going to run.
For sure.
That's the same way it's going to go for players like Ochai and Jalen too. But that's definitely a positive in my book for the transfer portal, and I think so far it's treated Kansas very, very well.
Most definitely, man. And that's kind of also that leads us to the next piece. And I mean, this is a big piece. Obviously, players in college, in these NCAA, can start making money. They can get, obviously, endorsements, things like that. So that pulls some players back, in my opinion. I think that also probably, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but I think that's a big reason why Ochai decided to come back. He got the information he needed. He found out some things to work on, but now he finds out he can get endorsements. And I think that he fits exactly the mold for what kind of the Lawrence area, really because of where he's from, anyways. I think this is going to benefit him from an endorsement standpoint. What are your thoughts on the actual NCAA and the endorsement aspect? But then, do you think Ochai and Jalen Wilson and Remy Martin kind of saw that as an opportunity as well and decided to come back?
Personally, I think it's a great avenue for players to money, especially locally, like you said. I think if players can keep their endorsements local and support the local community around campus, that's going to be a really positive thing moving forward. I'm interested to see what kind of national partnerships go down. I mean, those probably won't come up until someone gets hot during the season, and you never know, they could go cold and then they lose their deal. So it's going to be kind of fun to see how these things go, back and forth. I feel like the local places will be a little bit more of a safe spot for players to endorse, because it's going to be something that's going to have the schools back, instead of some massive brand that's going to have to back someone that might have just came on the scene, even if it's just this year, he just got hot that year and then they're stuck with a contract for 2 or 3 years. But that's all going to be down the road. It's going to come with time. We're going to see how that goes, but it's definitely a controversial topic and it can go either way. And I think it could probably mess up a lot of people down the road too. But like I said, it's just going to take time to see who's going to go where and what everyone's intentions are on it. There's probably going to be some players too that don't do anything with it, that may not have the opportunity to get a deal or not sign anything.
For sure. And I think that's something to think about. I mean, we're seeing, I follow Mitch Lightfoot on Twitter, and that guy is taking all advantage of it. I think he's got.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's got what? I think it's 1 more year. So
yeah,
do what you got to do.
That guy makes me.
Christina could do the same thing.
He makes me laugh so much, man, because he's been there so long, and now he's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to go out and get every deal I possibly can. I think he's got a roofing company now. He went out and got like college movers. He's doing the thing. I mean, props to him, man. And that's what I'm hoping to see from a lot of these guys.
To see.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a question I proposed. I talked to Jesse Newell the other day, and it's kind of been a question that I've asked multiple people that are really involved with KU. We've seen players come through KU where we know that they're going to be there for 4 years. And do you think that this really helps them want to stay for 4 years? Because you also have guys like, I mean, obviously you had your Wiggins, you have your guys that they just come to school for that 1 year and then they're off anyways. But you have some of those guys that have been on the fence, like an Ochai and some others. Do you think that this is going to help them want to stay because they're going to get the endorsements because of who they are? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to come down to what they want at the end of the day. If they think they can go pro and make it, on the next stage, then, good for them, chase it. But this is definitely, like you said, going to give them a much more incentive to stay and develop their skill, which I think is great for all college teams. I think it's going to give players the opportunity to stick around much longer, and it's going to give us, much more confident basketball from teams that are trying to rebuild. If you're a rebuilding program and you got some skilled players coming in their sophomore, junior year, you're going to want them to stay so you can bring up the next generation as well, the next incoming freshmen and sophomores as well. So I think it should help things a bit in terms of their, duration of their stay. I hope so. I hope we see it. I can't really say for certain, but I certainly hope so.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's kind of wraps up that. I really kind of want to hit on that just because I think it is going to be a significant piece. This is going to be the first year to really test it out, but I think as it evolves, it'll be pretty cool to see how it really does pan out and play out into, not only college basketball, but football and the list goes on. So that leads me to this next piece. Obviously, we've seen all these players come into KU now, and a lot of people are saying this is an absolute powerhouse. This is a tremendous basketball team that is being assembled. Some of the players that came in are Remy Martin. You got Yesufu, you got Cam Martin, Coleman Lands, and then obviously the freshmen that are incoming. A lot of people are saying that there's a potential that this is 2 NCAA tournament teams. My question is where is all the playing time going to come from for all these guys? And in your opinion, who is going to be starting and playing?
I mean, I think honestly, it's going to be quite the rotation the first, few games. Yeah. And from there, it's just going to be kind of who they want up top. I think I just wrote the other day a piece on Remy Martin. I think he's going to be your guy up top from the start just because of his experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to stay there. People like that are veteran ball players. They've been around for a long time, but that still doesn't mean they're just going to automatically mesh with a roster like Kansas. And it could go either way. For a starting roster, you got a lot of different names to plug in there. I think you're going to see Ochai and Jalen snag some wing spots, and David McCormick and Cam Martin will probably be your two more confident guys down the paint. And you could probably see Remy Martin up top. And of course, you're going to rotate someone like Jalen Coleman-Lands in there because he's from Iowa State. He's had plenty of college basketball playing time. He's probably near Mitch, I think, in some numbers.
Yeah.
And you will see playing time from someone like Mitch as well. You're going to see a solid rotation between these guys. And I think for your starting five, it's hard to tell, but I would say right now you got Jalen up top, you got Ochai and Jalen on your sides, and you got David and Cam down below. That's be my most confident pick for those guys.
Okay. I like it because, that kind of leads me to this next piece. So I'm a big Cam Martin fan. I was excited when he announced him coming to Kansas. The guy can rock the rim, but he can also shoot it from downtown. And I think that's what's absolutely incredible about him. I hope him coming to Kansas, it only evolves his game even more and pushes him that much more because he is at a big time school. What are your thoughts on Cam really kind of just being so versatile and really kind of providing maybe something that KU hasn't had from a big man for a while?
Yeah, Cam Martin, just phenomenal highlights. I love watching his highlights because I just feel like it's something that no one's really seen. They're not going out and looking for that. And it is there. There's plenty of reason to bring him onto this roster. And I'm really glad that he, got something worked out. And it's gonna be fun to see him. He's 6'9". It's gonna be really fun. And he had a lot of different offers as well. He was going, he had plenty of attention from Texas and Creighton to go there, and ended up going Lawrence at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something I've hit on a couple of times too when talking to people is like Texas is sneakily kind of becoming a rival of KU in a way because, they've obviously took Jerrance Howard from us. They took Hootie a couple years prior to that. Chris Beard has a ton of experience within the Big 12, and now he goes to obviously his, Texas. I think that, we're getting some players competing for players to go where they need to go. I think Texas is kind of sneaky becoming a rival. What are your thoughts on that?
Texas has always been kind of a tough subject for all members of the Big 12. It's there's some arguments behind it, but they might have been part of the reason Missouri took off a few years back. But that's all up for debate.
Yeah.
Texas recruiting is strong. They're good at it, especially I think they're getting up there in basketball, and football's always been strong. And, it's hard to get recruits, to push off Texas. And I think that's going to probably continue for a while. There'd have to be some kind of dramatic change for recruits not to go down south. But I think Kansas is doing pretty good. I think they're competing pretty well, and they're getting a few guys that, were kind of on the fence, such as Cam. And keep in mind, Cam Martin was 25 points per game last season. All right, that's damn good.
Yeah.
So I think snagging someone like him is a pretty good sign for teams like Kansas.
For sure. That's exciting, man. And I'm looking forward to just the schedule that we have lined up. Bill likes to make, our non-con very competitive. And with that being said, we're going to be playing Mizzou. The rivalry is back. A true rivalry is back. And then on top of that, we also have Kentucky. And what's significant about Kentucky is we're competing for the most wins in the NCAA history from basketball. They're 4 up on us. And by the time they come into town, we may be up, they may still be up. You're talking about just not only a blue blood competition, but you're talking about the winningest basketball program in history. What are your thoughts on those two programs? And they're both home games. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. Kentucky is going to come. I believe they're in town, right? They're coming to Kansas and outfield us. And it's going to be pretty neat. We had one of our contributors, Dylan Davis. He wrote an article on the history that's coming around. So that's worth checking out. It's got all the facts on it, but it's going to be a really fun game. I think that's going to be probably one of the more full games at the Fieldhouse this year. And for a team like Kentucky that's still trying to round off and get back into, you know, the topper or the top schools in the country, it's going to be a crucial game for the Wildcats. You know, to get a win on the road at Kansas would be a major step in the right direction for that program.
For
And
sure.
I'm pretty confident they're going to give it their best chance.
For sure. Yeah. And, you know, obviously then you got the border war that's back and that's coming to KU. You know, Mizzou's been down, but it's still the border war. I mean, that's something that's significant. We're bringing it back to life. It's been 7 years too long, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on Mizzou coming back and playing in Allen Fieldhouse?
Well, it's a different Missouri team. You know, it's a much different program than what we saw in 2012. And as fun as that game was, you know, it's kind of a new era here for the border war. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they bring to the table. For Mizzou, you know, I think the SEC for basketball hasn't been terrible to them. Hasn't been, I guess, great, but it's definitely, you know, a contending program that's going to give Kansas a fight. And I can't tell you who their head coach is off the top of my head. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I looked because, you know, when they start.
Kuanzo Martin.
Yep. Yep.
I don't think I pronounced that right.
Yeah, you
I
got
think I
it.
butchered his
Conzo Martin. Yep.
Konzo Martin. Yeah, I thought I butchered his name there for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm starting to wonder, you know, he was a big time hire for them, especially when he came in. And, you know, they were really excited about him being there. And now that he's been there for just a little bit, I kind of wonder if we're going to start to get to the end of where he could potentially start to hit the hot seat. So it'll be interesting. But, you know, obviously assisting in getting the border war back together, that's what's absolutely awesome. So I look forward to it. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. But let's go ahead and transition. Let's transition sports a little bit. Now we're going to be talking about our week set, and that's going to be football. Obviously, we go out and hire Lance Leipold after the absolute circus that was of Les Miles. Um, you know, I think I'm excited, but as hard as it sounds, I don't know what to get excited for with KU football. Is it the coaching hire? Is it the fact that, you know, we might actually be going in a right direction? What would you give someone who really is just needing a pick me up for KU football? What would you say to them right now?
Well, it's hard to get people excited about it. You know, it's tough, but I would tell you that it is a chance to push this team in a different direction. I know we were in the same spot about 2, 3 years ago, and it really sucks to be back here again. But I think it should give fans some relief that Lance Leipold has been one of the more experienced coaches in college football. I mean, what he did at Buffalo was spectacular. I mean, regardless of what he will do at KU, he's got Buffalo on his belt. So I really think that he's going to give it his best shot. And you know, if they pick up a pair of wins, God forbid they, you know, go winless, but they pick up 2, dare I say 3 wins, that's a success in my book. You know, I think that's a substantial movement from a winless season in 2020.
For sure. You know, and I kind of been saying myself, you know, when I first did a video on my YouTube channel for the Beat of KC regarding the hire of Lance Leipold, I said one of the things that I want to see him establish is a culture. And the reason I say that is because I just don't feel the culture has been established for KU football for a long period of time now. I think you knew coming in, Les Miles was an established national championship winning coach. And I think obviously you could say some established coaches prior to that. But I don't feel the culture has been established. And really what I mean by that, diving deep into it, I don't feel that the enough people from the area locally took KU football seriously and wanted to go and actually play for KU. I think the culture needs to be developed where kids are no longer saying, or athletes are no longer, football players are no longer saying, I want to go to K State or I want to go to Nebraska or I want to go play at KU is what I want to hear. Would you agree that the culture needs to be developed and established from Lance Leipold, and then that's when we might start to see this thing turn around?
I think if there's going to be any culture at all, it's going to have to be, you know, I think the Browns going to have to be the ground's going to have to be broken this first season for sure, because I don't think there was much culture with Les Miles, but there was quite a bit of loyalty to him. They
Yeah.
had a lot of people had his back when a lot of that stuff came out, and it was some nasty stuff, and they stuck by him. So I think really, if you have players with that kind of loyalty sticking around, I think it's going to be important to keep them there. And they had players like Marcus Harris jump off the boat, and that's okay. It's a tough bid for someone like him to stick around. But I think for Lance Leipold, he's going to have to build something within the first 2 years. And even if they're losing record for 2-3 years, if they can't fire him if he's got 3 or 4 win seasons. They can fire him if he's doing something wrong within those seasons. But if it's 3-4 win seasons and you're getting progress, and you got a quarterback, that a young guy that's developing well, like someone like Jalen Daniels, that's progressing in some form, and he's definitely buying into the program, rebuilding it, because I think that's going to be what's going to build your culture, is a few rough years to build it up, and they're going to be there. That's just how it is. KU is not going to have a winning season for, I can't even, it's just hard to say. It's hard to tell when they're going to have a winning season again, because by the time they really build themselves up, it seems things come toppling down again. So
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to build some kind of foundation within the first 2-3 years before they're even going to think about having a winning season on their belt.
For sure. I jokingly, when I did an interview with Jesse Newell the other day, I can see it, but it is definitely a flyer. But I predicted 6-6. Now, I saw that. That's the response that I want. That's the response I want. Now, I do think that there are some opportunities for them to steal some, I think when you factor in some aspects, I think you can hype up a team in certain situations. And if you're winning a football game going into a halftime, or you're going into a fourth quarter and you're up by a couple of touchdowns, I think there's a way you can rally the troops and really send a message. And I do think that they're going to steal some at some point, but I definitely think that that is extreme. And a lot of people have given me that exact same reaction, but I'm
It's
excited for
fun to
KU.
think about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for KU football, as crazy as it sounds. And I do want to attend some games just because I want to see what the environment is going to be like. Now, one of the things that I've also asked is, do you think the environment, and now I'm kind of changing that a little bit. Obviously, Memorial Stadium is old. If you really look at it it's just a bigger high school stadium. At what point because each regime that's come in has always hit on the fact that they need to upgrade the facility. They need to upgrade the facility. And that's something that I feel, Les Miles and Long were going to attempt to do at some point. But at what point do you think that they start to upgrade the environment and really maybe look at changing up Memorial Stadium or doing something like that?
As far as I know, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure they've been giving kind of facelifts to some of their practice facilities over the last, I'd say, 5 to 7 years. And I agree with that. I think you upgrade your training facilities first and do the stadium second. But for KU, I wouldn't pour a dime into the stadium until you know that Lance Leipold's going to be the guy to get the job done at least for 3 or 4 years. And
Yeah.
that's a stretch. Okay. I mean, if he's going to be a successful coach for, I think after this first season, you get that impression. Say, like you said, they have some kind of amazing season, they pull off like 5 or 6 wins, then okay, then you can open up your funding and look at some different options to improve the stadium. But it's just hard to justify putting cash into something that has just been so bad for so long. And it like it's really going to come down to KU what they want to do with it, but it also depends on if they can get some progress going. Because right now, I understand Lance Leipold is bringing in his new staff and he's got a brand new administration running the show, but there hasn't been a season yet. We haven't seen anything yet, so it's kind of tough to give too much credit for something that we haven't seen.
For sure. So with that being said, obviously this is a new age of football. Who are you looking forward to the most? Are you looking forward to the offense? Are you looking for a very stout defense? What are we looking for, a ground and pound and air attack? What are you looking forward to the most from this football team moving forward, I guess, for the first year?
I'm looking at running backs. I think there's a lot of rushing talent available from guys like Amari Pesek-Hickson and Daniel Highshaw, and even Velton Gardner, who's returning. I think I could consider him a veteran player now. And said he's been around KU football for a little bit and he knows what he's doing. And they got three guys that have been around for a while, and it sounds like they know what they're doing. Spring practices have all gone very well. And they also have the incoming freshman, Devin Neal, the local kid from Lawrence High, that's going to be making his freshman debut. Hopefully we'll get to see some Devin Neal this year. But that's four running backs that you can get excited about to watch. They're obviously some of the most talented people on that roster, I could argue. And whether or not they, show it, who knows? But I think that's going to be their best chance for success is on the ground, which is kind of surprising from a team that like Kansas that hasn't had much success in past years on terms of records, but they've had someone like Puka Williams that has laid a very good foundation with running backs coach Jonathan Wallace about what a running core should be. Yeah. And I think that's where you're going to want to keep your eyes on is the rushing attack.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm always a defensive guy, even like when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm a defensive guy, and I know that it sounds like to me the weakness area is going to be linebacker. I'm hoping that with obviously the transfer in, the kid from Michigan, hopefully that helps kind of at least rejuvenate a little bit of what we can expect there at linebacker. We've seen some kind of mixed match with the cornerback. You have one leave, you'd have one come in. So I'm hoping that this defense is somewhat par, I guess you could say, because I think if the defense is average, at least you're going to have some average play. So, Conner, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on, man. Really, honestly, this has been awesome. I love talking KU. So hopefully we can do this again here in the near future. Definitely going to continue to read the articles, man. I love, anything KU related. So definitely we'll continue to head on over through the Phog. And that's spelled Phog because that's honestly KU related. So make sure you guys swing on over there. Check out Through the Phog. Conner writes a lot. Obviously, the whole team writes a lot. Conner, before we wrap this thing up, can you give everybody your Twitter handle and anywhere else they can find you on social media?
Yeah, go find me on Twitter at Conner Becker _ and go to Through the Phog on Twitter as well. That's where all our contributors' content is going to be, and you can find all their links there too. We're gearing up for a good season, so we're going to have plenty of content out there, and hopefully you guys will all enjoy.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you. And as you guys know how I wrap up this video, as always, I appreciate you checking out the Beat of KC, and have a good day.